Welcome to A View from the Summit with Blake Higginbotham. Stay tuned for current revelatory teaching and solid foundational training that will help you discover the purpose for which you were born. Thank you for tuning in, and remember to share this broadcast with your friends and family.
Hey, Blake Higginbotham here with A View from the Summit. Thank you for tuning in today. I want to continue where I left off with The Awakening Begins, because the awakening continues, and I'm sharing with you out of some prophetic downloads and revelatory knowledge that I've received over the last year or so. And I've been speaking to you directly from the heart of the Father concerning relationships, and I'm going to start where I left off a little bit. I'm not going to try to recap all of it, but I want to make sure that we catch up and are on the same page, and I'll go as far as I can over the next 30 minutes. I appreciate you taking time to tune in and to keep up with the prophetic updates, as well as the revelatory knowledge and the foundational instruction that you receive through A View for the Summit. Before I get started, I want to announce up front that if you will email me with any questions, unanswered questions, concerns, or just things that you've pondered and would like to dialogue about concerning creation, life, and eternity, or anything in between, if you'll email me, basically you can find my email address at my website, or just write it down. You can contact me directly at campblh@aol.com, and if you want to table questions, concerns, or things you've pondered and you're searching for a biblical answer, I'll answer you back by email, via email, text, or any other way you contact me. I'll answer you back with scriptural answers, some sage wisdom from the ancient text, and we'll start there in our dialogue and discussion and see what develops. But I just wanted to make that available to you for free of charge, no charge to you if you'll contact me via email, text, or otherwise, private message on Facebook, or just through commenting, and ask me some questions that you may have, or make some statements of concern, or just things you've pondered and would like to talk about. We'll start with a scriptural answer based on sage wisdom from the ancient text of the scripture, and then we'll go from there to expanding upon maybe some experiential truth and knowledge, and add some other thoughts to our discussion. Don't hesitate to contact me at campblh@aol.com. I want to start here today. Relationship is a two-way street that is teeming with life and mutual benefit, and it should not be by manipulation or coercion. We live in a time in this generation where there's very little trust, there's very little commitment, there's very little pursuit anymore of relationships. Everybody is either so busy or so tied up as it pertains to what they're doing in life, or they're just so hindered and bound up by the pain of the fear of rejection and bad relationships, whatever, that they don't even try anymore. I've run into a lot of people who just are very slow to embrace you at any level, and to open up and talk to you at any level. And I want to represent something different. I want to be open and honest with those who want to be, and I want to communicate with those who desire to communicate, and I want to develop lifelong, in some cases, lasting relationships with those who believe in that, or believe that it's possible. Then there are those who will pass through our worlds for a short period of time and You know, they'll glean what they can, and then they'll move on, or life and life circumstances will change things and make it difficult to continue to relate. But as it pertains to ordained covenantal relationship, that's something that must be protected, guarded, and nurtured. As it pertains to ordained covenantal relationship, that is something that must be protected, guarded, and nurtured. And it's a two-way street. It's not a one-way street. If you're in a relationship where you're doing all the reaching, all the pursuing, and all the contacting, and you're always expecting, your expectations are always thwarted and hindered and dashed against the stones, then you're in an unhealthy pursuit of a relationship that's going to end up being either codependent or toxic. And you need to really pay attention to what's going on inside of you, and really discover who you are. It's not that you just rule out, walk away from people, mark them off of the list, and say next. You know, some people are messed up worse than soup sandwich as far as where they're at right now mentally and emotionally, and they're just a basket case and wouldn't necessarily be someone who would be open to relationship. But 6 months from now it might be different, so you have to basically walk softly, and you have to carefully consider all of the variables that are involved before you make a determination as to whether or not you can continue to pursue a relationship or not. But you know, it's a part of the culture in which we live, and you know, there's a lot of fear and concern about the economy and starting a family and having children in this type of economy. So for young people, it's a difficult choice and decision. Don't think for a minute that relationship at any level, whether it be ordained covenantal or just be fellowship or getting together from time to time when you can, don't think that it's not a challenge for everybody that's involved, both mentally, emotionally, physically, economically, and in every way, because it is. But it's worth it. And one of the things that you'll find out is while we live in a culture that is non-committal and non-relational, and actually everybody's doing what's right in their own eyes and have cast off restraint, and there's very little revelation knowledge, and so the people perish because there is no revelatory preaching and teaching taking place, and the foundation stones are not in place. They're basically building their life on shifting sand. And so I could give you 2 or 3 days just talking out of my heart about relationship and the challenges that we've faced and that we're all going to face. But we have to be honest with ourselves, and we have to manage our expectations as it pertains to relationship as well. But remember this statement: relationship. This is a great. Let's just call it a measuring instrument, or you know, this is a way you can calibrate where you're at in relationship. Relationship is a two-way street that is teeming with life and mutual benefit, and it should not be by manipulation or coercion. And we could go into books you know, about what we mean. But listen, I got a question. Why would Yahweh require us to pursue dead-end relationships that are going nowhere? That's a question that you need to ask yourself. What does it say about us if we continue to pursue toxic and abusive relationships that are destructive in nature? These are some deep and they're not only deep questions, but they require some digging deep for some honest answers. I'm going to move on. That's where I left off. This is what I've been hearing. We must begin to embrace the Messiah in every believer and speak to the Son in every disciple. We must begin to embrace the Messiah in every believer and speak to the Son in every disciple. It's that simple. Many of them will not be found within the confines of the religious systems of this world, and most of them have taken a different path in their quest for truth. We must be willing to receive them where they are and help them discover who they are predestined to be as sons. I want to try to reiterate that in simple terms. We're not going to just find them in church on Sunday or at the buffet or coffee house after service. We're not going to find them in our little Christian groups. Are you listening to me? There's people out there that they wouldn't darken the door of a local gathering place, no matter what the religion. There's people out there that are spiritual, they're on a quest for truth, and they're not finding it in any religion, any man-made religion or any institution or any organizational approach to being who you're supposed to be. So they're looking outside, they're researching, they're hungry. I've been saying this for a while. There is something powerful going on at Waffle House. If you hadn't been to Waffle House lately, go down there and sit and start talking to the servers and the cooks and the people that are associating there. You'd be surprised at the level of fellowship you can find even at a Waffle House. Get out into the public and begin to go where people gather and congregate and listen to their conversations and introduce yourself and basically begin to inquire of them who and what they're about, where they're going in life, and listen to them for a change. You'll be surprised to find out that a lot of them are on a spiritual quest for truth and don't know what to believe anymore. I run into so many people on Facebook and otherwise that don't know what to believe anymore. Their faith is failing them for fear or just, to be honest with you, they're just disgruntled, discontent, and disillusioned. The three deadly D's: disgruntled, discontent, and disillusioned. And they just aren't sure that what they've been taught, what they've learned, what they've known is true and accurate. Well, I'm going to tell you, you're going to run into thousands and thousands of people in your worlds just like that. But, it's just summing it up. We must be willing to receive them where they are and help them discover who they're predestined to be as sons. First of all, we've got to agree that in one way or another, we're all the offspring of Yahweh through Adam, through the line of Adam. And while there are hybrid mixtures that are involved, and there's been some mingled seed along the way, as human mankind, we are still the offspring of Yahweh, and we basically are a part of His creation. And so you need to understand that if that be the case, we also enjoy the honor and the privilege of having the DNA of Yahweh built into us. And so we to each of us, not just to you or me, but to each of us. And we were created in the likeness and image of Yahweh, and because we are descendants of Adam and Eve, and of the other righteous seed, Seth and Noah and Abram and all that have lived before us. His blood flows through our veins, and everything that He has predestined and foreordained for us to be is already built in and must be activated and tapped into. I know that's different, but it's the truth, and it's the way you need to start looking at human mankind. And there is evil present, and there are men and women that are controlled by evil, and there are also men and women that are controlled by good and righteous behavior, and are led by the Spirit of Yahweh as well. So Helping others discover who they are predestined to be as sons is absolutely essential and important in this day and hour. Note, our thrust and emphasis needs to shift from reaching those who are still on a quest for truth. Our thrust and emphasis needs to shift to reaching those who are still on a quest for truth. Those who have yet to discover and lay hold of their foreordained destiny and purpose. Our quest needs to shift to those who are still on a quest for truth, not those who know it all. Why do we spend the majority of our time arguing and debating with people who are religiously convinced, while they may be in error, they may be deceived, they may be deluded. Why do we spend most of our time trying to convince them that we're right and they're wrong, or that they might need to consider something else? They're religiously convinced that they're correct, that they're right, and at this point, there will be no persuading them. So leave them alone, pray for them, and from time to time, drop tidbits of wisdom and understanding, and you'll be surprised in months ahead how much clearer it'll come to them that they were in error, you're right, they were deceived and almost deluded. But yet, somebody came along that represented the truth, and it sparked, it struck a note and sparked life in them, and they began to pursue the information that you deposited. And guess who will get the glory? Yahweh will get the glory, but you'll be remembered as the one who deposited the seed. Okay? Now listen to this. This is important. It is our responsibility as fathers, mothers, and family to help others discover their destiny as sons. It is our responsibility as fathers, mothers, and family to help others discover their destiny as sons. Nothing more and nothing less. I'm gonna blow some of your boats out of the water. Yahweh has not called you by individual mandate to represent the only living oracle that's ever lived on planet Earth, or that it's alive today. I'm sorry, you're deceived. I'm going to pop your bubble in another area. Yahweh has not given you the sole responsibility to care for his flock, whether you are the one that advertised and somehow appealed to them and somehow persuaded them, or somehow had something to do with them becoming a part of your life and world. You are not solely responsible for providing leadership for them, counsel, wisdom, understanding, or anything else. That's why he's got fivefold ordained ministry gifts that are called ordained and sent ones. And so you need to stop hoarding them, and you need to stop acting like you're protecting them when all you're really doing is protecting your own assets. Now, I'm being honest. I'm shooting straight from the hip today. You're not really trying to protect the flock because you love them. You're trying to protect the flock because you need to be sure that they're a part of your life next week and bringing a big fat envelope drop in that bucket for the most part. Let's be honest. And let's be honest, why would you treat a brother or sister or a true man and woman of God as someone that is deleterious or dangerous, or why would you try to warn your people against those of us who have served faithfully for over 40 years? We've made our mistakes. We've had our ups and downs. We've been in the fight. But let me tell you something. You're no more qualified than those of us who are not pastoring, or those of us who do not have great flocks of people following them anymore. And we have something to say to them that's important. We're not looking for their money. We're not even looking for them. We're looking to speak to the Son that's in them and help them become everything they're predestined to be. Now, let's move on from there. Let's just be honest that there's a lot of walls and barriers that are built around so-called apostolic territory that's not even biblical. It's not even according to biblical order. It's not according to Scripture, and it's not based on truth. And there's a lot of walls and barriers and defense shields and protection mechanisms in place to protect assets rather than really really try to help people. And Yahweh's going to hold us accountable for it. He's going to hold us accountable for it. He's going to hold his leaders accountable for it before it's over with. And I want to say something. If you don't believe the way I believe, that's fine. Wait a few years. You might be surprised at how much you have grown and learned. If I don't believe the way you believe, I'm not going to put a yellow flag up for the people around you. I'm not going to try to divide or separate anybody from you just because I don't believe the way you believe. But if I find out that you're manipulating and controlling the flock, or that you're relating to the flock by manipulation and coercion, if I find out you've become deleterious and destructive in your leadership as a authoritarian rule, I'm going to expose you. You can rest assured of that. Okay? Now listen. It is our responsibility as fathers, mothers, and family to help others discover their destiny as sons, nothing more, nothing less. That will be primarily accomplished by modeling the pattern son as brothers and friends. How will it be accomplished? It will be primarily accomplished by modeling the pattern son as brothers and friends. They will honor the Father in us as we embark upon destiny together, and we will receive our inheritance as sons and brothers of the same Father, house, and family. Woo! I want to say that again. They will honor the Father in us as we embark upon destiny together, and we will receive our inheritance as sons, brothers of the same Father, house, and family. Sonship is our destiny, and our inheritance is wrapped up in discovery. I want to stop here and recommend a book I recently wrote and published through Create Space and Amazon.com. It's available on Amazon.com, called Sonship, and it's by Blake Higginbotham. Just type that in the search. It's a good little book, a short read, something you can read as a devotional, something that you can use to share with your family. I hope it's something that you'll read to your great-grandchildren. Sonship is the name of it, by Blake Higginbotham, and this is what it's about. Sonship is our destiny, and our inheritance is wrapped up in discovery. Receiving the full embrace of the Father's love and forgiveness is a very important part. Receiving the full embrace of the Father's love and forgiveness is a very important part of the discovery-making process. That will include forgiving yourself as well as others who have hurt or harmed you in any way. I'm going to say that again. That will include forgiving yourself as well as others who have hurt or harmed you in any way, family, friends, or people in general. Note, if you have been hurt or wounded by a spiritual leader or offended by a brother, there are several things that needs to happen before you will be able to get past it and move on. Number one, write this down. Take notes. It would be good for you to write down what you would say to them if you could, and seal it in an envelope. You need to address it and put it away. Listen, until you have had the ample amount of time to pray about mailing it or not. So write down what you would say to them if you could, and hold on to it. Put it in an envelope, seal it up, and take time to pray about it, and before you mail it or not, one way or another. Once you mail it, it's said, it's done, it's released, and the outcome is not going to be up to you. It's going to be up to Yahweh. Who knows what kind of reconciliation and restoration can come by just honestly bearing your heart with someone. Number two, after you have prayed for some time and carefully considered all of the ramifications concerning mailing your letter, you need to mail or deliver it by hand. It may be a situation where it's not that serious, but you just don't have fellowship with them anymore, you don't have a working relationship with them anymore, and you feel like delivery is the best possible method, and just being kind enough to do so. Okay, number three. When it leaves your hand, you need to be willing to choose to forgive them and release them from any judgment that you have against them. Number 3, when it leaves your hand, you need to be willing to choose to forgive them and release them from any judgment that you have against them. The power of unforgiveness will be broken over your life when you remember that what your forgiveness cost. I'm going to say it again. The power of unforgiveness will be broken over your life when you remember what your forgiveness cost. Unforgiveness is like a cancer that is eating away at your ability to love and trust. Are you paying attention? You may be surprised to discover that the offender may not be aware that they have been imprisoned in your heart because of the pain they caused you. They may not be aware of it. You don't know. The journey is our destiny, and it will be fraught with glorious victory and the agony of defeat. We all need to we all need to learn to enjoy the journey and live in the moment. We all need to learn to enjoy the journey and live in the moment. Nothing is going to happen today that is not in some way working His will and purpose in our lives. Are you paying attention? I'm going to close with these next remarks, so pay attention to me. Note, I have come to live by 3 basic rules. Number 1, live life to the fullest every day. Number 2, do not live with regrets. And number 3, do not try to determine the outcome. Do not try to determine the outcome. 3 basic rules. Number 1, live life to the fullest every day. Number 2, do not live with regrets. And number 3, do not try to determine the outcome. We all need spiritually mature fathers and mothers in our lives. Their wisdom and understanding will serve to challenge, correct, and save us when we are not living up to our new creation identity in Messiah Yeshua. We all need spiritually mature brothers, sisters, and friends in our lives. Their love and caring will sustain us in the darkest of hours. The Scripture teaches us to love the brotherhood and honor all men. It also teaches us to love one another as I have loved you. Thank you for tuning in today. This is Blake Higginbotham with a view from the summit. Until next time, you are the loved, blessed, and highly favored. Good day.